After losing 63-21 to the Raiders on Thursday Night Football, the Chargers made the decision to part ways with head coach Brandon Staley. People are saying that Bill Belichick might be the front runner for the head coaching role. Yeah, no shit. Bill Belichick's going to be the front runner for any head coaching role. If he is available, I think everybody's going to want this guy. Now, who do you think they should go after as the next coach?
Go get like a young, never heard of college coach.
You like that route?
I don't want a good coach to come in the my division, dude. Out of here. I hope they hire some jabroni, man.
I was like, Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce talking about the news, and we've heard this a lot. Bill Belichick with the Chargers, and a lot of people trying to figure out what's a good fit for Belichick. Connor Rogers, I'm going to go back, though, to the premise. Jason Kelce starts off by saying, hey, if Belichick is available, a lot of people are going to have him as a top candidate. Now, folks in New England would say, I don't know about that. Now, I want to hear from y'all. I want to hear from you and J.A. because you don't live here in New England, so I want to know what the outside view is of Bill Belichick. Connor, I'll start with you. Do you think everybody is lining up to sign Bill Belichick or hire Bill Belichick?
No, I don't think so. And it's not just about Belichick and how things have gone the last couple of years in New England. It's the fact that if he's under contract and we don't know the specifics of this yet, is New England going to ask for compensation for him? We've seen coaches traded in this league. We've seen coaches traded for a high price. Right, exactly. So, and I don't think it'll be a low ask. I mean, I think a first rounder will be in play here, at least as an ask. And that will deter a lot of teams. So especially for a guy that, you know, obviously you don't know how much longer he necessarily will be with your franchise. You have to wonder, you know, what went wrong in terms of the roster mismanagement over the years at the end there with New England. So yeah, he'll be a commodity and he'll be a desirable one, but I don't think he's a fit for every team when you factor in the cost to get him, the cost to pay him. Not every owner in the league wants to pay a coach $20 million a year or whatever it may be. Those salaries are not public knowledge. And then some will just look for a better fit in terms of a younger guy that molds with their roster the right way. So yes, a few teams will be interested, but not everybody in the league.
Connor, younger and more modern, right? And so yeah, it's funny. A few years ago when the Sean McVay became, you know, the mode in the NFL and getting guys off McVay's tree like Brandon Staley, you know, and then they faced each other in the Super Bowl and Belichick just undressed McVay. And it pointed to my argument. I said, okay, well, we want McVay. We want a young offensive guy. Well, like Bill Belichick is an older defensive guy, and his ways seem to work pretty well. But that was then, this is now. Does the Belichick way still work? Not only for Belichick, but a Belichick type. Is that what you would look for if you were hiring a coach in the NFL in 2023, 2024?
I think that what scares me here, guys, is the mismanagement of the quarterback position by the staff hires he's put in place. That would be the number one question I would have as an owner. If you're getting Belichick, you know they're going to be able to develop defense. You know there's going to be a lot of things that he can't go without. But who is he hiring as his offensive staff? Because the multiple different offensive staffs he's had work with, obviously Mac Jones and other young quarterbacks now, it's been a disaster, to be quite honest with you. And all of the defensive-minded head coaches in this league, that's ultimately what makes or breaks them. And you look at some of the open jobs, and we're starting with the Chargers right here. I think the Chargers ultimately moved on from Brandon Staley because of and Tom Telesco, their GM, because they didn't draft an offensive line to protect Justin Herbert, and they never fully got it right with the offensive staff to set him up for success. Herbert's been good, but a lot of people are projecting Herbert to be a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, and that has not been the case. And you could say some of those failures are from what's around him, and you have to ask yourself, is that what Bill Belichick is going to fix? I don't think anybody could say with certainty that that's what he could do in this era. I'm not confident in it.
Yeah, I think I know what he would do, fellas. In the job interview, the owner says, okay, who are you going to look at for your offensive staff? Hey, let me get my cell phone for a second. Let me go through my contacts. Josh McDaniels. It's just Josh McDaniels. Just go to him. That's the default all the time. And if you're McDaniels, it's clear. Head coaching, this thing's not for you. Head coaching is not for you. But as an offensive coordinator, think about the people that you've worked with, that you've had some success with. You were able, not with the Raiders, but with the Patriots, you were able to get something out of Jimmy Garoppolo. You were able to get something out of Matt Castle. When Tom Brady went down, Matt Castle hadn't played since high school, and they get 11 wins out of Matt Castle at that position. They even had, Jacoby Brissett was a young guy under Josh McDaniels. He has worked with non-Brady people. Mac Jones, that first year, that rookie year of Mac Jones made the Pro Bowl under Josh McDaniels. So I think McDaniels with Justin Herbert, if that's what it winds up being, hey, Josh, I'm not even going to look at the offense. You take it over. You deal with Herbert, and I'll get this defense, a defense that somehow has a Bosa, any Bosa on defense, and you're struggling. You got a Bosa. I know he's out for the year, but you got Bosa, and you got Khalil Mack, and you got Derwin James, and you're like 30, you're in the 30s on defense? That's a joke. Well, let me ask you this. Switching over, another coach who may be available, Connor, I can't stand this guy because he coaches at a school that I can't stand, Jim Harbaugh. And I don't know why y'all trust him, Michigan. Every year, hey, Michigan, Jim Harbaugh signed an extension. And then every offseason, he's applying for a job. Did he sign an extension or not? He don't want to be there. He don't want y'all. Y'all always like the second to
foster the separation, Michael Holley. Just because your Buckeyes can't beat this guy lately, you're trying to sow the seeds of separation with Harbaugh and Michigan.
Yeah, this is personal and emotional right now.
Yeah, but I'm just want to point out that Ryan Day has still has a higher winning percentage against Michigan than Jim Harbaugh does against Ohio State, even with 3 straight wins. Now think about that for a second. Anyway, I want to say this though. Harbaugh is a damn good pro coach. He is. I wouldn't trust him, Michigan. He's out. But for the pros, he'd be good for somebody. Connor, do you see a fit in the NFL for Jim Harbaugh's triumphant return?
I do. I like the Chargers as a fit better than Belichick to the Chargers because when you look at Harbaugh, he is a guy that, yes, is crazy. Some of the sound bites are nuts, and I'm with you, Holly. It feels like he's been trying to get back to the NFL a little bit under the radar, although a lot of it leaks out a couple of off seasons now. And why I look at the Chargers, though, Herbert is a guy that is a little bit more mild-mannered at the position that I think would take to his unorthodox style of coaching. And I don't know if every professional quarterback in the league would do that. They would do it the first year. But what we saw with Harbaugh, for all the success he had, he burned guys out at the NFL level. He really, really did. And the college level, it's easy because in this era, they turn over every 3 to 4 years right now. It's as simple as that. And if you burn them out in 1 or 2 years, they transfer. Yeah, they transfer
every year.
Exactly. So it's a much different game. You go back into the portal and you get a different guy, and college free agency is what it is. So I think that's the fine line that NFL teams realize they have to walk with Harbaugh, and why the Chargers make some sense. Well, one, he's almost desperate to come back to the NFL, it feels like, as much success as he's had at the college level. And the Chargers are an organization that have a reputation for not always going out the expensive route for the coaching. So it's not like Belichick where you're paying him $20 million a year or whatever that may be. I think it's actually a really good fit for Justin Herbert. He'd be able to, what he's done at Michigan is he's built a stout offensive line that they can run the ball to protect the quarterback. And I think that thinking translates at every single level, but more important than ever, teams need it at the NFL level to protect their franchise quarterbacks. And I think that's exactly what the Chargers need right now.
The Charger opening makes plenty of sense to me, but some of these other seats that are hot around the league, Arthur Smith in Atlanta, you even hear some rumblings, Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, the portrait of stability, the Pittsburgh Steelers could be think of it. It just seems like every team, Robert Saleh in New York, every team that isn't where it wants to be, it feels like, okay, they got to make a coaching move. David Tepper, with all the coaches he's hired in his short tenure there in Carolina. Are we too quick on the trigger now? Is this the easy solution? Is this kind of the quick trigger reaction that, oh, they need a coaching change and that'll make everything better? Where do we stand on coaching in the NFL?
I think the issue is, and it's a great question, Jay, because when you look at it, it's all scenario based. And I think removing the coach is always the easiest thing to do, right? There's not as much there's no dead money on your salary cap. So it's not like a player that's like, hey, we owe this guy 50 mil. Like, let's see how many snaps we can get out of him. You just eat the cash that doesn't exist on your salary cap. So it's the one button you can often press. Now, that doesn't always mean it's the right move. When you think about bringing up a guy like Mike Tomlin, for example, to answer the first question of the segment, every team would line up to get Mike Tomlin. I don't feel that way right now about this state of Bill Belichick or Jim Harbaugh, but Mike Tomlin, a guy that never has a losing record in the NFL, a guy that you look at the cast of characters that he it's trending that way.
You know what's going to happen.
Right. With Mason Rudolph, I think any coach in the league would have that go that way these next few games. So I think when it comes down to it, there are times where guys deserve a reset because it's so hard to win every single year in the NFL. And I think Tomlin is a guy that deserves a reset. If they got the Kenny Pickett pick wrong, then so be it. Give him a chance. That one would really, really surprise me. With Saleh and the Jets, the argument you look at why it's tough is, well, they lost Aaron Rodgers 4 plays into the season. But you look at these other teams competing with backup quarterbacks and backup players. I mean, the Jets have just been blown out too many times under Robert Saleh. And in terms of the lack of a modern offense, I mean, they are matching numbers, historically bad records. So there's always scenario-based things where a guy has earned that reset. And you could also sit there and wonder, maybe this guy hasn't.
You know what? I think we all need to be as honest as wide receivers. I remember it was years ago when the reporters asked Randy Moss as a member of the Raiders, hey, why aren't you out there playing your best? Why aren't you trying to? Hey, maybe if I felt better about things around here, I'd play better. You know, maybe I just don't like, maybe I'm unhappy with the situation. He pretty much told everybody, hey, I'm checked out because I don't like the environment. For George Pickens to say, I didn't block at the goal line because I didn't want to get hurt. Wow. Filter. Don't admit that. Don't admit that out loud. It's hard to walk in the locker room with your offensive linemen, with your other running backs, tight ends, like, hey, man, you're a wide receiver. Who don't ask you to block 60, 70 times a game, bro? Like, block near the goal line. Crazy. Anyway,
who for what?
Speaking of, yeah, right. Oh, yeah, Ricky Waters, that was great, too. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.